Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I'm so glad that you could keep our appointment. Dr. G. Well, tonight we absolutely have a real MD doctor. Really? Dr. Yasapa, MD, MBA, is an autochthonous Moorish American and founder of Zion Law School. He is the creator of the popular streaming self-study course 101 Ancient Iberian. Dr. Yasapa, MD, MBA, is the author of Rapid Total Recall, Biochemistry Icons, and several ancient Phoenician Hebrew books such as Animals in the Bible, 911 Iberian Rescue, Ancient Phoenician Hebrew, Deuteronomy chapter 28, I Can Read, and the list goes on and on. Through Zion Law School, Dr. Yasapa's lectures focus on Torah Law, natural law, and their correlation with the history and the U.S. Constitution. Tonight, Dr. Yasapa is presenting I Ain't Scared of You, MoFo's. I'm going to tell it like it T.I. is, even though I could get killed for this. He'll be looking at the fact that all Abrahamic religions, according to him, including Hebrew Israelites, are hoaxes. So get your pencil or pen and paper and get yourself some tea or some wine and prepare to hear what will probably be more of a lecture than an interview. Now, Dr. Yasapa has been with us a little over a year ago when he was domiciling in Vietnam. He is now relocated and is domiciling in Mexico. And he's coming to us and bringing us this very, very interesting information that we hope at the end of this that we're going to have a clearer perception of exactly who is who and what is what in the Bible and other ancient texts. So, without further ado, help me welcome back to Office Hours with Dr. G, Dr. Yasapa, MD, MBA, presenting again, I Ain't Scared of You, MoFo's. Welcome. Let me put you back off, take you off the solo. I guess I need to get in here. How are you, Dr. Yasapa, MD, MBA?
I'm fine, Dr. G. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm good. Welcome back. It's been a little over a year, maybe, or about a year, or almost a year.
A little over a year.
And you were actually at the time in Vietnam, right?
Yeah, I was in Vietnam.
And how long had you been in Vietnam?
Maybe a little bit more than 2 years. Yeah. Okay. And I really loved it in Vietnam. I felt at home. That was really the only country that I've ever been in where I felt at home.
Okay.
If you can imagine how that feels. And they have everything that I wanted. The weather was perfect. But then COVID happened and
that was a little harrowing. From when I spoke with you, you had at that point you had been quarantined along with, I guess, the whole country. But you had hunkered down for what you thought would be a couple of maybe weeks, and it turned out to be how many days or how many weeks?
It was about 3 months.
And you ran out of food.
Yeah. So check this out, Dr. D. So Vietnamese people were asking me for money because they didn't have jobs. All the local stores and businesses were shut down. So friends are calling me, asking me. So I give it because I had some cash, and I never thought that it would be a 2-3 month lockdown where we couldn't leave the house. I couldn't leave the bank. I had like $40 to my name. Couldn't go outside. The police were on the street. The army, the soldiers, they had soldiers right out in front of my house. And that was the worst feeling one of the worst feelings you could imagine because you're helpless, you know. And then I had some money, but I just couldn't access it. And then when they finally opened up for people who had the vaccine passport,
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't have that, you couldn't go to the bank. So you couldn't go outside. And if you managed to get outside, you couldn't go to the bank. But I found a way. And then, yeah, it was just a mess. But I found a way. And but I miss it. I miss the food, you know, the climate, the trees, the culture. I mean, it was just very nice. So now here I'm in Yucatan, Mexico, right?
Okay.
And it's no comparison for me to be here, because the food is mostly pork and they're frying it, and you know, you don't, all the markets, everything that you want, different varieties.
Carnitas everywhere, right?
Yeah. So it's quite an adjustment here in Mexico.
Right. Well, maybe you'll get the opportunity to return to where you felt at home, and when this pandemic is behind us, that we're, but every day, we're hearing a different story about what's happening globally, or I'm thinking globally, locally for me. Every day someone I know is transitioning, and so we do know that what we're going through isn't natural, but we have to admit or acknowledge that it's real, even if it's real in the mind. It's real because folks are checking out as a result. So but listen, before we get into this particular lecture about the Hebrew Israelite, and all the different Hebrew cultures and so forth, how did you get from, and I'm sure some are wondering, how did you get from being an MD medical doctor to teaching Hebrew and the various other, establishing the Zion Law School? How did you go from the? Do you still practice? And I hate saying practice, but that's what they call it, medicine in any form, or are you into more of a holistic? Tell us about your transition from being a doctor, because you are an MD.
Yes.
And an MB, but you also have an MBA.
Yes.
So how have you actually practiced, or have you given that up?
I gave it up in 2014 because I didn't want to give vaccines. One of my
wait a minute, back up. Yeah. 2014.
Yeah.
Were you aware of what was coming down? Because in 2014, the only vaccines that I think I know of that were routinely given were, the childhood vaccines, flu shots, maybe shingles, those kinds of things. So where did you have foreknowledge of what was coming down the pike, or?
No foreknowledge. We occasionally did medical missions. And on one of those medical missions, one of the doctors that I was with gave a vaccine to an infant, and then that infant had seizures, and I watched it. And I decided I don't want to do that, because I don't want that type of karma, and I don't want to hurt somebody. And after that, I left medicine. I had intended to go back, but things kept happening that didn't allow me to. And so in other words, the doors had been closing on me. I never intended to practice medicine. My whole thing was the business of medicine. When I was younger, I did an MBA. And while I was I had my own business. I was an entrepreneur, doing all of those things. My ex-wife and I, we were like the young people who, that had it going on, or what, I don't know what the people say these days, but but yeah. So I was fortunate enough to meet a physician And at the time I was publishing a magazine actually. And my clients were daycare centers and Montessori schools, stuff like that. And I noticed that all of the children were sick. So I said, well, hey, wait a minute. I can get a business going, bringing in doctors to see the children at school. I could help a lot of people. The doctors could make money because at that time, the big hospitals were consolidating and buying out the medical practices, and young doctors couldn't get started in business because they didn't have any patients. And even if they did, where would they admit them, right? Because the hospitals were forcing them to become employees.
Were you still stateside then?
I was still in the States. Yeah, this was like early 2000s. Yeah, that's a long time ago, early 2000s. But anyway, I was fortunate enough to get a contract from the state and federal, Medicare and Medicaid. I got a contract. I was in business. And, you know, if you're not a doctor, most other doctors don't want to talk to you. And if they do talk to you, it's going to be, I'm more than you are. And, you know, who are you? So I experienced that. And it was really bad because like they wouldn't show up to work because they would tell me, who am I? I'm not I'm not an MD. I'm just an MBA. That's what they would say. You just an MBA. Who are you to tell me what to do? Why should you get all the money? So after I had enough of that type of sabotage, I said, I'm gonna go get a MD degree myself, right? And then I'm not gonna have to deal with that. That's one problem solved. And so I did it. And then when I came back, you know, to try to get that business going, medicine had completely changed, you know, and that opportunity was gone. And I would never give a vaccine, and I'm not practicing medicine, but I do help my friends who are seeking to help themselves through herbs and diet. But I only do that privately.
Yeah, I want to, what you said earlier about the reason why you actually gave up the practice of medicine, and was because you saw an infant go into seizure after receiving a vaccine. And, you know, it's 36 years later, but I realized that when they're starting to put out the reports, you know, they didn't say this back 36 years ago, but there was a rash of babies dying of what they termed crib death, SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. When my mind goes back, my own daughter, my only daughter, received a vaccine in her 6th week, at her 6 weeks checkup, and she died of SIDS the next week.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So it was, you know, back then they don't tell you what may have been an indicator, what would have been the cause of the culprit, and how 36 years later I start hearing the number of babies that died during the 80s and 90s, and for priv death was may have been vaccine related. And so for you to see that and make that decision after having made that investment to go into medicine, I mean, that's noble, because you rather than, like you said, have that karma on you, you just said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so okay, you had an MBA before that, you got an MD so that you could do business with the doctors who look down on you for only having an MBA. How did you get from the MBA, the MD, to being to Zion Law School, which is flashing across the screen right now? How did you get there? And how lead us into this? Because we only have maybe another hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
As best you can, lead us into this. I guess this intel. I'm going to call it intel that you have.
Okay, so when I was in medical school, I was selected. I was one of 10 fellows selected to participate in a fellowship program, and we were to earn a full-time certificate in entrepreneurship and technology commercialization. So we did this in California. It was funded by the U.S. Army Research Laboratory. So it was a big deal that I was selected, and it was full time, like from 8 to 5 and 6 in the evening, Monday through Friday. Sometimes it was a lot. And anyway, I did that, and I got to meet like the angel investors in California, all of the the startups that were being funded in California,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing my thing with entrepreneurship and technology, and I learned everything about it, met all the people I thought I needed to meet, and then I had an offer from a big global company, and I didn't take it. I went. Well, that's another story, but that as an adult primed my mind for entrepreneurship and technology, entrepreneurship specifically. But when I was in undergraduate school, what really influenced me, that's the real influence. I graduated from an HBCU, right? And I had professors who used to write grants, and they used to get funding from the big government agencies like NASA and all of that. And two professors, one from Sudan and one from Sri Lanka, Dr. Lackey and Dr. Sri, they had a tremendous influence on me. And what they did for me was to teach me how to write grants. And they built within me the belief that I could do the same thing they were doing. And they taught me how, and they inspired me. So I got the entrepreneurship spirit from that. And my mother, who owned a flower shop, and my mom was a tremendous entrepreneur. I didn't know it at the time, right? But she had the mindset of an entrepreneur and the discipline, and she was unstoppable. I didn't appreciate that until I got older. So that's what got me into entrepreneurship. And when I decided that I had to do something different, I said, well, okay, I'm interested in, at that time I was studying Egyptology, Kemet, and all of that. And at that time I thought, and this is my opinion, right? I thought that the hieroglyphs were the first written language. And then the more I looked into it, it appeared to me that Ibriac was the first written language. So if you read from I think it's Josephus, he talks about how the Egyptians got their knowledge from the Hebrews. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's where I was at that time, right? And I said, well, let me write a book, okay, a children's book, because I always wanted to write a children's book. So I wrote this children's book, and I showed how the Egypt as with the hieroglyphs as the original language, and then the Hebrew, and then the Greek, and then the Latin, and then the Romantic languages that aren't really languages. So I had it all laid out, formatted in a book so that you could see how they evolved. And I never published the book because my ideas about it changed. So I said, well, let me stop this and let me write a biochemistry book based upon what I had learned from the pictographic languages. It gave me an idea. I said I could visualize biochemical reactions using icons, easy to remember or weird and funny icons with memorable, weird, strange stories. And so I wrote that book, and that Rapid Total Recall Biochemistry Icons. I sell it on Amazon. The graphics are not that good, but it was my first book of that heavy on the graphics type of book. And so I said, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and instead of doing the Kemet hieroglyphic book, let me go ahead and do this for the Hebrew language. And I started researching more and writing more, and then I produced like I think 3 or 4 books, one of which was 911 Ivory Act Rescue, which is really, really popular, the purple book. And after that, I've written all of these, other books that are more complex.
The first one sounds complex to me. If let me ask you something, because
Yeah.
this I'm like hearing somebody's brain clicking out there in the audience, maybe. And maybe it's just mine. In terms of placement of Egypt, Kemet, and all of that, there we now know, or there's now the I don't want to call it the notion, but they're pointing out that perhaps the original Egypt and all of those things, that those biblical lands that were spoken and written about in the Bible
Mhm.
have occurred on this landmass. That the Nile is the Mississippi, and da 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 da. Do you uh, subscribe to that belief that they retold the story and put things over there that were originally over here?
Oh, yes, indeed. For me, it's obvious. And I base that on, let me see if I have, Dr. David Imhotep. Oh, he doesn't say that in this book.
It's everything. What is it?
It's called The First Americans Were Africans.
I
And
think I
then
have that in paperback form.
yeah, and this is the second edition. It's revised or revisited.
Okay,
And so he goes through, he shows a lot of
pictures.
primary, he's got all kinds of, he's got a huge bibliography. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
And he says that Egypt was over here, but according to him, the Egypt over on the other side is older. But the pyramids and other megalithic structures over here are older. But he doesn't, I don't know why he,
so he may be a little confused with that part, because my understanding is that over here is older, and over there is a replica, is an attempt to put it somewhere else to change times. And even the Bible itself says something like they will look to change, when rocks cry out,
Yeah.
change laws and change times, and actually that there might even time wise there may be a totally different what we may be in, what, I don't know, 800 years. I'm not sure whether we're back or forward, but they've messed with time.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. You know what? I think we'll kind of touch on that.
Okay, well, listen, I'm not going to keep, because I told you I was not going to do all. I wasn't going to interview you. I want to get my paper and pen out, and I want to get to I'm hitting my pen, and I want to take notes, because I'm going to say this is your hypothesis, and let's see if you can prove it out to the satisfaction of the viewers.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Oh, no. That's excellent, Dr. G, because I appreciate you, because I would like to know your and their viewpoint, whether or not I sufficiently make the case.
okay,
Right.
you're on.
Like to know.
You're on.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. G. So I would like to start off by saying that what I'm going to present is not meant to offend anybody. I'm going to present what I see as urgent information that everybody needs to know. Within the Hebrew Israelite community, they will probably never want to see my face again for this. Also the Christians. But I'm certain that if you watch this with an open mind, at minimum, you'll have the correct understanding of Judaism, Christianity, and Hebrew Israelitism in the context of the Mosaic Law. Okay, so not my opinion, And as we look at the Mosaic Law, we're going to do some analysis, not heavy in-depth analysis, but we'll do some surface analysis because that's all that is required. We'll do some surface analysis of Josephus, Flavius Josephus, his works, the Antiquities of the Jews, the Wars of the Jews. So we'll take a look at that to see how it matches up to the commandments. We'll also take a look at the prophets in the Old Testament and other books, and we'll see how those messianic prophecies square up to what's said in the commandments. Okay, and we'll look at some other books, prophecies in other books, but we're not going to go through all of it. But I'm going to show it. It's up to you to watch this video over and over and over again in order for you to get that information. And then we're going to look at the New Testament, what it has to say about the messianic prophecies. So based upon all of this information, you yourself will be able to make a conclusive, intelligent decision as to whether or not you want to continue to give your energy to an external deity, okay? Or if you want to take that energy back according to the Most High's commandments and empower yourself to do everything that he has given you the ability and equipment at birth to do for yourself, okay? All right, so Dr. G, I don't know how to share my screen.
Well, there's a button at the bottom that says share.
Oh, I got a PowerPoint. How do I share that?
If you pull it up on your computer screen, let's get up here and see. Okay, I'll do it here.
Oh, wow.
Now I've got it so that you can share. So if you once you pull it on your screen, you're going to click share at the bottom, and then it'll pop up here, and I'll allow it.
Okay. So it says upload file. So let me try to do that. All right.
You should be able to just open up another page, another screen, and without open it up as you would normally if you were going into it.
Really?
And then share.
I just shared it. Oh, it says uploading. It says uploading. Okay, so while it's uploading, everyone, I also want to talk about the fact that that Hebrew Israelites are Moors. Okay, there's no question about it. It is not a matter of family line. Okay, it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of who are the natural people. Okay, the natural people are Moors. Now we find that in Genesis chapter 2. Okay, so let me see if I can share this, Dr. G. I want to pull up. And I forgot how to do this. You
have to click the plus sign. I don't know what you have, whether you have a Mac or a PC, but I'm on a PC. And you click the plus, you can open up a new screen. Totally new screen. You'll still see, and then you'll click share.
Okay, all right. So let's see, entire screen. So when the power, it's not letting me. I'm uploading the PowerPoint, so it won't let me share. So I'll just go ahead and talk, and when it loads out, how's that? Okay. So at Genesis chapter 2, you'll find that the Most High created man from the soil. Okay, man was created from the soil. The earth was already here. Oh, here we go. Okay, I got it. So,
all right.
Can you see that, Dr. G?
Yeah, we see it.
Can it be
the curses in modern history?
Is it small or is it big?
I see it big. I'm big enough.
Okay. So I'll start from here. Okay. So curses in modern history. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now, this is a point of interest. This is going to show the relationship between Moors and our common experience as it is bore out in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 20. Let me see if I can, because it's so small, I can't read it. Okay, there we go. I see it. All right. So here we are. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 20. The Most High shall send upon thee cursing and vexation. So what we want to do is, can I talk like I talk in school, in the
Sure.
classroom? Okay.
Hope so.
I'm going to call the Moors scholars. Okay. So I don't have to think about it. So when I say scholars, I mean Moors. Okay.
Okay.
So scholars, what we're going to do is focus on vexation in this verse. We're going to open that up and see what it means. The Most High shall send upon the curses, vexation, and rebuke in all that you set your hand to do, until you are destroyed and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings, whereby you have forsaken me. So first, let's deal with vexation. The meaning of vexation, as you can see on the screen, scholars, it is the condition of being vexed or annoyed or annoyance. 2, a source of irritation or annoyance. But what's significant to us is 3, the act of vexing, annoying, troubling, grieving, or distressing, note scholars, specifically a harassing under forms of law. A harassing under forms of law, a troubling, annoying, or vexing by legal process, as by malicious lawsuit. So scholars, is this not what we are dealing with right now today? Right now today. And it's therefore hidden in Deuteronomy 28, chapter 20. And take note that it's our enemies who have translated these books. Okay, our enemies translated these books. And these records have been used as weapons of war. So I always tell the scholars, in other words, these records, although ours, have been used to initiate psychic attacks. Okay, psychic attacks to control our thinking and therefore to keep us in the position of servitude. Okay, of servitude. So here we have it, scholars. Harassing under forms of law. So we see the 14th Amendment, well, we see the denationalization of the Moors, which we're going to get into that in the part of this presentation that has to do with Moors are the gods on the earth, and that Moors are the law. So I'm going to make that connection. Also, we're going to deal with legal processes, or, for example, you go into a court or a venue that they call a court, and you don't know how to, you don't know their local rules on how to do things, right? So you're done because you don't know the legal process. You don't know what writs to file. You don't know what format to put it in. You don't know anything, right? So you're finished before you even get started. Okay, and these are malicious lawsuits because they know who we are, and they know that we are the law. Okay, so this is done maliciously. Okay, so I'll go. Let me see if I can. Let me see, how do I go? Okay, I see. So I want to skip all of this, y'all. Oh no, this is. Is this what I'm dealing with first, or we're dealing with not with this? We're going to deal with the Hebrew, with the other topic first. Let me get past this. Okay, there we are. We're going to deal with this one. All right. So here we are. All Abrahamic religions are hoaxes. I'm going to prove this beyond any shadow of a doubt. If any Hebrew Israelite, Christian, or Jewish person wants to challenge this, they must tell that the Most High's commandments are not true. This is checkmate. I'm not making it into a game, but I'm just stating what the fact is. There's no reply or rebuttal. There's no denying to what I'm going to present right now, scholars. Okay. So first, let's deal with the cornerstone documents of Judaism and Christianity, therefore also Hebrew Israelitism. We're going to begin with Flavius Josephus, the author of antiquities of the Jews, the wars of the Jews, and we're going to focus on the wars of the Jews. That's where the meat is in this topic. We're going to focus on the Old Testament prophets. We talk about the Old Testament prophets in the context of messianic prophecy. Messianic prophecy. Okay, we're going to correlate that to Jeremiah chapter 8:8. All right, and after we finish this, we can make some conclusive decisions about the Gospels and the New Testament. But let me say this before we get started, scholars. The Gospels and the New Testaments will still have value. And I'll explain what that value is later. So we don't want to throw them out of the window. The point here is that the Christ figure as presented to us in the Gospels and the New Testament and in the books of the prophets, etc., this has no foundation in Scripture. Okay, so let me present that. Let me show you. All right. Okay, so I think I already covered this. Okay, this is going to be a really damning case against the Abrahamic religion. So let's begin. Jeremiah 8:8. This is the go-to scripture. This is the scripture that we rely on in Zion Law School, meaning we use it all the time, because our people tend to believe that every word in scripture is the truth. Everything that happened actually happened, and that is absolutely not true. And we know that when we look at the warning that Jeremiah gave us, recorded at Jeremiah 8:8. And I'll read it. This is out of the Amplified Bible. How can you say we are wise and the law of the Most High is with us? Note this, and we are learned in its language. The language is Ibriac. Okay, so here we see reference. Now, this is the author's notation in terms of what is meant here. But the need to understand linguistics, etymology, and grammar is right here. Scholars, we cannot get away from this. We have to master language. Okay? Okay, so how can you say we are learned in its language and in its teaching? Behold, the truth is that the lying pen of the scribes have made the law into a lie, a mere code of ceremonial observances. So what are ceremonial observances? By definition, religion. Religion. So we can conclude or extrapolate that the Most High's commandments were in fact instructions or law, not religion. Okay? But we can bear that out further. In fact, when you look at the 10 Commandments and you analyze them, what you're going to find is that they are at their essence natural law. And that natural law is simply to do no harm. To do no harm. And this correlates or agrees with the 5 principles: love, truth, peace, justice. I missed one, Dr.
Freedom.
And freedom.
Freedom and justice, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's do no harm. You achieve all of that simply by doing no harm. This is natural law. Okay. All right. So scholars, let's continue. All right, here we go. So now we're going to get into the mechanics of all of this. We're going to look under the hood now. So let's analyze the commandments regarding the land of Israel. Okay. Why is this important? Because we were kicked out, and Judaism, Christianity, and the Hebrew Israelites all agree that the Israelites, or the house of Yasharallah, broke the Most High's commands, and he kicked them out, and then they went into captivity. That is not disputed by anybody. Okay, and we're going to show this. All right, so what is the condition of the promised land? Oh, how do I need to look this scripture up. Ah, man. Let me see. Is there Hold on, Dr. G. Let me get a. Do I have a Bible? Let me get my Bible. I'm sorry. Is there a way to show this on screen so I can?
You can open another page. You can click, I guess, and open it. Is that a link to it from Bible Gateway? You can just click and it'll, when it picks up the next page, then that's what it'll show.
Okay.
And then
so
I guess go back. Or you can go to another page.
Okay. I think I did it. I think this is it. No, it's not letting. Yeah, it's not letting me. Can you see that, Dr. G, or no?
We'll still see the history of Israel after Babylonian captivity. But if you click, I guess, on a new tab and open that scripture, like I say in Bible Gateway, and then you'd show that page instead of this one, you'd have to go back to it.
That's what I'm trying to do, but it's not letting me click OK for some reason. So I'm okay. So yeah, it doesn't have share. It just has cancel. So I guess I would have to somehow.
Well, if you pull up another page, you should be able to go back to share and then determine which of the pages you want to share. So you leave that one up and then click on the new page.
Okay. Yeah, it's not doing it, Dr. G.
Okay. I don't know.
Can I stop this share?
Of course. Yeah, you can do that.
Because this is like the key scripture.
Okay.
This is the key scripture. So let me try it. What's going on? Why is it happening like this? All right, it's not letting me share.
Well, we still have the other page up. It's just not in the stream.
Oh, it's still up.
Yeah, I took it down. I removed it from the screen, but you have to pull up another page.
Okay. All right.
All right, there we go. Yeah, well, that's a whole screen. So you have which page you want of it? Is that a picture? Let me see this one. Is that what you want to show?
Yeah.
No, that's not what you want to show. That's not what that's telling you that you're in the show. You want to go to the page that actually has the scripture or that you want to share
on. No, I was just gonna let me just close all of these out. Hold on. Oh, here we are.
Okay, let me see. Is that it? There we go.
Yeah, does it say Deuteronomy 29?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so let me see if I can.
Well, now you changed it again.
Did I?
Yeah, you want to go. You're showing a lot of things. I don't think that's what you want to show. Go back to where. Yeah, there you are.
That's it.
Yeah.
So y'all can see that?
Okay, yes, we do.
All right. So okay. So I'm not seeing what you're seeing, Dr. G.
Okay, we see renewal of the covenant.
Oh yeah, that's it. All right. So we're in business. Okay. So we're going to look at the condition of the promised land after we get kicked out. But first, let's establish what we're reading from. This is Deuteronomy chapter 29. You see the subheading here says renewal of the covenant. I'm just going to read, okay, starting with verse 1. These are the terms of the covenant that the Most High commanded Moses to make with the Israelites in Moab, in addition to the covenant that he made with them in Horeb. So we know, or most people know, that a covenant is a type of contract. So today we would call a covenant a contract. Okay. Now let's go down a little bit. So note, scholars, terms of the contract. Terms of the contract. Okay. So there is no emotional relationship involved in this. This is a contract. Okay. So contracts require performance. All right. So let's move forward. Let's go to verse 22. Okay. All right. It reads here in verse 22, where the highlight is, your children who follow you and later generations and foreigners who come from distant lands will see the calamities that have fallen on the land and the diseases with which the land has, which with the Most High has afflicted the land. The whole land will be a burning waste of salt and sulfur. Nothing planted, nothing sprouting, no vegetation growing. It will be like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Most High overthrew in fierce anger. All the nations will ask, why has the Most High done this to this land? Why this fierce burning anger? I want to read this again just for emphasis. And everybody focus your mind on the condition of the land. Verse 22 of Deuteronomy 29 again. Your children who follow you in later generations and foreigners who come from distant lands will see the calamities that have fallen on the land and the diseases which the land has been afflicted with. 23, the whole land will be a burning waste of salt and sulfur. Nothing planted, nothing sprouting, no vegetation growing on it. It will be like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So I'm going to stop right there. Dr. G, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, so based upon this text, the whole promised land is going to be a burning waste of salt and sulfur, right? Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, and it's going to be completely destroyed like Sodom and Gomorrah. Is that correct?
That's what it says.
Okay, and it says that nothing planted, that means there's no food for any animal or man to eat. It says nothing planted, nothing sprouted, no vegetation growing on it. So by definition, a burning waste of salt and sulfur, we would call that a desert.
Yes.
There's no water to support life. And then there's no plant life. So nothing can live on the land once our people get kicked out. Okay, now let's look at verse 25. And the answer will be, well, let's go to the question again. Okay, so 24, all the nations will ask, why has the Most High done this to the land? Why this fierce burning anger? 25, and the answer will be, it is because this people abandoned the covenant of the Most High, the power of their ancestors, the covenant or contract he made with them when he brought them out of Egypt. They went off and worshiped other powers and bowed down to them, powers they did not know, powers the Most High had not given them. Therefore, the Most High's anger burned against this land, so that he brought on it all the curses written in this book. In furious anger and in great wrath, the Most High uprooted them from their land and thrust them into another land, as it is now. So, scholars, here's what's going on in this set of verses. 1, the house of Yasharallah, Moors, abandoned the Most High's instructions. This is natural law. Okay, at their essence, it's natural law. What else is it? We were told to follow the ancient paths, right? Follow the ancient paths, okay? This is the lifestyle, the traditions, the principles of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, okay? They followed natural law before there ever was a religion. External deity type of religion is what I'm referring to. They followed natural law, and so should we. We should return to the Most High now. Again, 26, They worshiped other powers and bowed down to them. This is extremely important because we, as you will see, also as written in Psalms 82, verse 6, it says that you are gods, all of you sons of the Most High. The Most High gave us all of the mental faculties, all of the physical capabilities, mental capabilities to create our own future. We don't need an external God. The only thing we need to do is act in harmony with the physical laws of the universe, the laws that govern human relations, right? This would include the laws of commerce. This would include common law, natural law, do no harm. And we would be able to create the lifestyle, circumstances, and conditions that we want in life. But our ancestors chose to look to deities, external deities, to do these things for them. And now look what happened. They got kicked out. All right. And one last point I want to make about this. And this is important. This is something most people are not aware of this, but I want to bring it out so that everyone will be aware of this. Scholars, if you look at Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 19, we'll begin with 19 and we'll go to 21. It says here, when such a person hears the word of this oath and they invoke a blessing on themselves, thinking, I will be safe even though I persist in going my own way, they will bring disaster on the watered land as well as the dry. What is that referencing to? Disaster on the watered land as well as the dry. Well, in the contract, the Most High says that if we do not follow his instructions, he's going to destroy the land. It's going to become a burning waste. So the wet land, as in other words, the land where there's marshes, there's lakes, streams, that land is going to become a burning waste. And the dry land where you can plant crop, your agricultural land, that land is also going to become a burning waste. All will become a burning waste. That's what that's referring to. Verse 20. Note this, the Most High will never be willing to forgive them. His wrath and zeal will burn against them. All the curses written in this book will fall upon them, and the Most High will blot their names from under heaven. The Most High will single them out from all the tribes of Israel for disaster, according to all the curses of the covenant written in the book of the law. Notice it says the book of the law. So what some prophet says, okay, or what some other Bible character says has absolutely nothing to do with the topic we're discussing right now. It draws our attention and says that the source of the curses, in other words, what the Most High is going to do to us as a punishment, we can find it in the book of the law. Okay, that's why the contract is so important. So, in summary, the promised land is right now a desert that is uninhabitable. Okay, so if anyone in the chat disagrees, please say something. You know, we can see. Okay. So, Dr. G, I think I'm going to go to the next slide. Can you see that, Dr. G? Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, thank you. So now everybody keep in mind, we just read those verses from the contract that says that the land is a uninhabitable waste, a desert. So now, this website is the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, and it's dealing with the history of Israel, okay, the Second Temple period, the return to Zion. Okay, now let's get into this. This is going to be fun. All right. Notice what it says, scholars. It says, following a decree by the king of Persia, Cyrus, in 538 BCE, 50,000 Jews set out to return to the land of Israel. So, scholars, is this true? they returned to the land of Israel. But remember, we just read that the land of Israel could not support life. It's a burning waste, a desert, right? Persia and Hellenistic periods, 538 to 142 BCE. Let's continue reading this, okay? And I'm just going to read so that we can get this in the video, and there's going to be nothing that anybody can say because it's right here on the webpage. And all of the religions agree to this. Following a decree by the Persian king Cyrus, conqueror of the Babylonian Empire, 538 BCE, some 50,000 Jews set out on the first return. Y'all see that? First return, that means there was a second, right? At least a second. On the first return to the land of Israel, led by Zerubbabel, a descendant of the house of David, less than a century earlier. The second return was led by Ezra the scribe. Over the next 4 centuries, that's 400 years, y'all, the Jews knew varying degrees of self-rule under Persian 538 to 333 BCE. That's interesting, isn't it? And later, Hellenistic, Ptolemaic, and Seleucid overlordship. So, Dr. G, this right here is impossible because the land is a burning waste. It couldn't support life, right? But let's continue. So how did they have all of these returns to the promised land? There's no food there. There's no water. Next paragraph. The repatriation of the Jews under Ezra inspired leadership, construction of the second temple on the site of the first temple, fortification of the walls of Jerusalem, and establishment of the Knesset Haggadah, or Great Assembly, as the supreme religious and judicial body of the Jewish people. So where did this Jewish people come from, right? We have to ask ourselves that. At this time, they're using a term, Jewish people, okay? Marked the beginning of the second temple period. So scholars, let me ask you, given that the promised land has no water, no plants growing there, it's a burning waste of salt and sulfur, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. Is it possible for people to live there and build a second temple? What are they going to eat? What are they going to drink? It's hot. It's a burning temple. They need water and food, right? Okay. Within the confines of the Persian Empire, Judah was a nation whose leadership was entrusted to the high priest and council of elders in Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is in the promised land. It's a burning, destroyed wasteland, a desert. All right, so let's continue. As part of the ancient world conquered by Alexander the Great of Greece in 332 BCE, the land remained a Jewish theocracy under Syrian-based Seleucid rulers. So this history is also false because the land cannot support life. Y'all see that? Also false because the land cannot support life. When the Jews were prohibited to practice Judaism, okay, so this is new also, right? Judaism, Jewish, this is not part of the history before our people went into Babylonian captivity, if in fact that is true. Okay, when the Jews were prohibited to practice Judaism at their temple, and their temple was desecrated as part of an effort to impose Greek-oriented culture and customs on the entire population, the Jews rose in revolt in 166 CE. So I hope it's becoming clear that none of this history is true. And why? Again, why is it not true? Deuteronomy chapter 29, according to the contract, the Most High said that he would hit the house of Yasharallah with all of the curses in the book. And I'm back at Deuteronomy chapter 29.
May I interject with a question?
Yes.
So Deuteronomy was given a prophetic word And the assumption then is that the prophecy, those had already come to pass, has already come to pass, rather, as opposed to a future event.
It's a future event. So, Dr. G, thank you. I'll give context to the scholars. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 14. These are blessings or tangible, concrete gifts that the Most High would give us as a reward for following his instructions, simply for following natural law, right? Beginning at verse 15, it says the curse is for disobedience. So let me just read a few verses, okay? Beginning with verse 15, Deuteronomy chapter 28. However, if you do not obey the Most High your power, and do not carefully follow all his commands and decrees I am giving you today. Today is a timestamp. Okay, today means now, not yesterday, and not tomorrow, or in some other time in the future, or some other time in the past, but now. So this is what he was saying through Moses. Okay, however, if you do not obey the Most High your power and do not carefully follow all of his commands or instructions and decrees I am giving you today, all these curses or all these punishments, all these vexations will come on you and overtake you. That means that you can't escape them. You're doing good, doing well today, and then tomorrow, boom, something out of nowhere happens.
Sounds like now.
Yes, yes. It says, and then it goes on with the whole series of curses. Okay, with the whole series of curses. And by the way, it's interesting that you said that, because look at this. In verse 46, it says, when it says they, let's do 45 and 46, okay? Deuteronomy 28, 45 and 46. All these curses will come on you. They will pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the Most High your power and observe the commands and decrees he gave you. They will be a sign and a wonder to you and your descendants forever. So these curses, these punishments, that's how we know who we are, according to the contract. It's the punishments that we would have to endure, shortened lifespan, health problems, problems in relationships between, in families, poverty, all of these things. It's 46 says they will be a sign. Like, for example, you're driving down the hall, down the highway, and you see a sign that says Walmart, exit here. You exit Walmart, you take that exit, and you know Walmart's going to be there. Or you see Bank of America sign, you take that exit, and you know that Bank of America is going to be there. Well, when you see the sign of these curses, you know that that's the house of Yasharallah. Okay.
And the house of Yasharallah are we, the Moors.
Yes, Moors. See, that's another thing, Dr. G. What I'm finding, and I haven't totally flushed this out yet. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but I haven't flushed it all out yet. But it appears to me that these divisions of nations, right? It appears to me that is something that the hybrids have done to cause us to conquer. What's the
divide
term?
And conquer?
Divide and conquer. That's what it appears to me. It appears at this point to me that the issue today is hybrid versus natural people, not Israel or Yasharallah versus Esau, right? As the Hebrew Israelites would tell it. Now, there are hybrids who are mixed in with Esau, but then they're mixed in with everybody, right? So it appears to me that that's a smokescreen. But yes, so it appears to me that even though there are families, we were not at odds, right? There's no contention or animosity. I think this is all just contrived stories that were made up to separate us. But that's my personal opinion. So can I continue?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so back to Deuteronomy 29. All right, so 21, Deuteronomy 29, 21. And the Most High shall separate him. That's the person who's not, or the tribe or whatever. That's also the nation, okay, who's not following his instructions. Okay, it says he's going to punish them according to all the curses of the contract that are written in the book of the law. Okay, so this is the governing document, the book of the law. And then 22, just again. Let's do 23. And the whole land, therefore, is brimstone and salt and burning. That is not sown. No, that's hard to read. That's hard to understand. Let me try this one. Okay, here we go. This is better. All right, back to 23. The whole land will be a burning waste of salt and sulfur, nothing planted, nothing sprouting, no vegetation growing on it. It will be like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So let's see if we can get a picture of Sodom and of what Sodom and Gomorrah looks like. Okay. All right. So these are some depictions of you see, scholars, it's just dry desert, wasteland, right? So the Most High is saying the land is going to be like this, nothing, no water, nothing can grow. Okay, nothing can grow. All right. So just sand, or let's look at a desert. I usually spell this one wrong. Let's see. All right. So here's what a desert looks like. See, no water, nothing growing, no vegetation, cannot support life. This is the condition of the promised land right now, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 29. I'm sorry, Deuteronomy chapter 29, verses 22 through 23, 24.
So where is this promised land? Where is this promised land?
I know where it is.
Okay. I've seen this one picture that you have with the trees. It almost looks like a painting that pops up on you've gone past it, but it pops up. It looks like orange and white sand, and that one over there. No.
Yeah, actually, Dr. G, I got a video. If your audience wants to know where the promised land is, if you want, we can arrange and I can show it if you want, you know. I did a whole video on the location.
Well, I guess the reason why I'm asking how I'm thinking in terms of, okay, so a place that's, barren, sulfurish, and like Sodom and Gomorrah, it obviously, as far as I know, now could be wrong, there's no place here on this landmass, so that puts this promised land somewhere other than where we are now.
That's well, it's, you mean in the north or in
yes.
the
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, according to the contract, the promised land is between. It's between. Well, I'll just say it. I almost don't want to say it because people might go talk trash, but it is between.
You got it out there now. They're gonna talk trash if you don't. So I'm just gonna tell you. Okay. I know they will.
So the promised land is located between 23.5 degrees north. I think that's the Tropic of Capricorn.
So you're gonna give it to us in longitude and latitude.
Yes. Yes. 0 degrees, which is the equator.
That's not going to sit well, right?
I'll visualize it. I'll show y'all. And 23.5 degrees south, which is the Tropic of Cancer. So here, the promised land is in the middle of the earth, 23.5 north, 0 the equator, and 23.5 south, which is the Tropic of Cancer. So let me show it. And it's desert. And not only that, Dr. G, it's on the west side of the continents. And I know this because I did a very meticulous uh, analysis of everything is right there in the contract. And yeah, so it's on the west side of those continents. Okay.
So it's somewhere else. Is it true, or is it your belief that there's more landmass that exists that we've been told exists, and that there's a whole lot more of what we consider Earth than what we've been made aware of?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, Dr. G, I I've been kind of like laser focused on this stuff, and I haven't really been able to keep up with too much of anything else. But nothing would surprise me, because one of the things that I've learned is that the hybrids, the oppressors, they use literature and archaeological findings as weapons. In other words, they create stories, and then they create the impression through evidence that the stuff is real, when in fact it's just fantasy, made up stories to control people's perceptions and behaviors, just like we're looking at right now. It didn't take much to discover that the promised land is a burning waste, a desert, and then to go over and do what we're doing right now, check the condition of the land against what these religious people have told us. And we see now that it's impossible to build a second temple in a desert. How can they build a second temple on sand? You know,
It wouldn't even stand up.
yeah, it wouldn't even stand up. So let's go back to where are we? Okay, so and remember what you were mentioning about the time added.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can approach that from here. So it says the Hasmonean dynasty 142 to 63 BCE, and then Roman rule 63 BCE to 313 CE. All of this is fantasy.
So how do they distinguish between BCE, which is before the Common Era, and Common Era? I mean, what's the distinction between BCE and BCE?
It's a psychic attack.
Okay, it's a bunch of bull.
It's a bunch of bull. Yeah, to support the New Testament.
Okay.
So they go to extremes.
So this is how they add in the new stuff by, we got the Common Era, then you got before the Common Era, and you have AD, and you have, BC.
Yeah, that's it.
So now that's 4 different eras there,
So they're saying that the Christ figure was so significant that he changed time. So now you're counting down. And remember, too, scholars, that it's the people who oppress us who came up with this chronology that they're using based upon, I think it's the reigns of the pharaohs. So you have to believe your enemy in order to believe that chronology without question. And for me, that doesn't, I mean, you can deal with it, right? You can consider it, but I don't really see how that helps me personally to accept that as being what it is, knowing what these people are doing, especially through law. And so, of course, public policy and education, right?
Mm-hmm. So
I take it, all of this I take with a grain of salt. So all of this dates, none of this stuff happened. So if you take out the Greeks, their rule, right, the evidence, what they did in Egypt, and then the Romans, and you take all of that out, that's like maybe 2,000 years.
because they have not been here as anywhere near as long as we have.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So, but maybe some of this stuff is true, but maybe it happened in a different time period.
could it be time period? Could it be dimensional shifts of things that, we know that there are multi dimensions that exist and things happen or sort of layered as opposed to chronological. They may be, hierarchical as opposed to
Mhm.
chronological.
Mhm. Yeah, it could be. It could
You know,
be.
in another dimension, maybe that's what they did, but in our dimension, as nine ether beings, it was a totally different outcome. And
Yeah.
somehow we've crossed dimensions, and now they got a hold of us or something. I don't know. I'm just
Yes.
I'm,
Yes.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and but what we do know is that based upon these documents, the documents are not true, or is not telling the story that or the story is different than they presented to us. Is that what you're
Right.
saying? Yeah.
Absolutely. 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 There's no question that the narrative as and they shifted that from when it was just in books to the media, which is
Hmm.
developing a ongoing narrative that is. And I'll just say this real quick. When we talk about history, I have a thing about history ever since I had a download from the Most High to stop calling, there's no Black history, Moorish history.
Hmm.
There's only his Tory, and it's not his story, it's his Tory, HIS and then TORY. We don't have
Hmm.
history. We have
Hmm.
everlasting existence. We are. I should have worn my T-shirt. I have a. I'll wear it the next time. I have the Eternals. I found a T-shirt at Walmart, purple, my favorite color, with the Eternals on
Uh-huh.
them, and all of them are melanated, right?
Oh.
Except I noticed that the one in the middle seemed to be more of a lighter hue, but all of these
Uh-huh.
Eternals were all deep, rich melanin, and I said yes because that they have to tell the truth about
Hmm.
who we are, even if they do it in subtle terms. You see
Hmm.
what I mean? So back to his Tory. His meaning, like a possessive pronoun belonging to him or them,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Tory, which means British loyalist, brigand,
Hmm.
robber. So what
Hmm.
Tory? We kept trying to make people would add an extra S and say his story. It's his story, no, it's his Tory. And
Wow.
Tory it suggests thievery, robber, and what they have done is they've robbed us of our true existence. I don't know what to call it. We've been so used to saying history, we have to find another way to say, our everlasting presence, you
Hmm.
know, versus his Tory, which means the interjection of his lies, fables, fantasies, fictions, and all the other stuff that goes along with that.
Yeah, Dr. G, that's profound. That's profound. And I'm when we get to the Moors are the real quote unquote gods on
You
earth
better
and
get
the
there
law.
because you better get there because I was supposed to be shutting up, but I gotta say it. We gotta get away from when we talk about etymology and some of these words that we
Uh-huh.
we thought it meant this. Stop trying to put an S there and say his story, my
Uh-huh.
story. No, it's his Tory. There are two distinct words there. It belongs to them, not you, not
Hmm.
us. And it's
Hmm.
it's lies, Tory,
That,
robbery, thievery.
that's right.
It's
That's
not has nothing to do with your everlasting eternal existence.
right. Yes. And
So we have to
that's
find another way to say that or just say that.
yeah, Dr. G, that's connected to you just gave me a connection. That's connected to Genesis chapter 1. I'm sorry, Genesis chapter 2. The natural people being sprung from the soil,
Mhm.
and then I'm jumping kind of ahead, and then the principle that land and law go hand in hand, and that land is the subject matter of the law. Land is the substance and the subject matter of the law. And portable land is anything that are things of value that are extracted from the land. So in Genesis chapter 2, the Moors were extracted from the land, right? And by definition, I'm going to show this, land, one of the meanings of land is more, or Moors. That correlates back to Genesis chapter 2. The Most High made man, or Adam made man from the dust of the ground, or from the soil. Therefore, man, or Moors, are the substance and subject matter of the law. Therefore, you cannot talk about law outside of the context and the benefit of a Moor, or Moors. It's the substance and subject matter of the law. And the situation we're in right now is that the substance was taken out. In other words, the Moors were denationalized. The gold and silver, the quote unquote God's money, also substance, also portable land, was gradually taken out of that relationship. And what that facilitated, or what their intention was, to remove the substance so that they could then have legal creatures like corporations that could own land. You follow me?
I mean, I hear
so that's
you.
The robbery.
Yeah, robbery. But go ahead.
No, so as you were saying that, I was thinking, okay, so they robbed us of our nationality and the substance, and then they put themselves in our place, and they
traded places.
Yeah, they have no. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But according to the way I see it, maybe I'm wrong. Somebody might disagree, but it appears to me that the hybrids, they don't have the ability to inherit anything, because they're not sprung from the soil. They're not autochthonous, right? That's their Genesis.
I don't know that I agree, Dr. Yasapa, 100% with us, with the made from the dust of the earth thing. I see us as, like I said, I talked about the shirt with the Eternals. So I see us as the beings or the gods that came. We had the divine feminine who sent the divine masculine to do something down here, and then they found something here. They didn't do what they were supposed to do totally, in that they violated laws of, not only do no harm, but don't procreate with them. Don't muck around with them. And we mixed or began to dilute our power, our presence by, mixing with something maybe that was here. But I still see us as eternal God beings that came here and then, kind of got mixed up with the locals. And, maybe we were down here saying, let us. I'm more, this is me. I see us being the let us make in our image and after our likeness, as opposed to something making us. Now you can, you may not see it that way, but I see it that way. Although I know we've been so amalgamated over the the thousands of years that we begin, and we so much that we went from the giants that you see in the statues that really depicted the difference between us and them to we came down to their size. We relinquished our godhead, our deity, to be like human. Now that's me. That's my take.
Oh yeah, I can appreciate that. I mean, I agree that before we were here, we had to be someplace else. That's because of the second law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form.
Recreates,
So,
right?
yes,
Inform.
consciousness or awareness is energy. It's intelligent energy. And it's also been shown that our consciousness, right, that decision maker who decides to do something is external to the physical body. So that's already been determined. So in science, they'll say it's non-local, right? It's non-local.
Right.
So, so yeah, I mean, I hear you. I hear you with what you're saying about that. So actually, that's why I always say I ascend. I ascend from the house of Yasharala.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, it's almost, there's a scripture that talks about, about how allegedly we fell into, this, and I can see that as a descending from the high place, descending from where we dealt with our higher self, and we were more spiritual and ethereal, to descending into a body which would be constrictive, restrictive, and dealing with a lot of things, even so-called death, that we didn't have to deal with, because in the ascended place we are all one. In the descended place we see individualism, and we therefore we even here can be divided.
Yeah, this is a topic I don't really know much about, other than consciousness is forever. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form. But yeah. I haven't studied what happens in another dimension. So
well, I don't mean to get you off track, but my brain is saying, like, okay, I'm trying to follow the, where you're going, but I came from a higher place than the ground. Just I could be, but I just know, and maybe not all of us, but many of us, know that we have a higher, our descendancy was from a higher place, in order to, it was sort of like, send me, I'll go. I know that this is going to be a challenge. I know that this is going to be a struggle, but also know that when it's over, I go back to being a part of the all that I always am and always will be. But so that's just my inability to just keep my mouth shut. So I want you to get back to the Moors, and please, disregard. Don't disregard me, but I'm going to let you go on.
No, it's okay. So yeah. So what I was referring to, and then I'll move forward. What I was referring to is the physical body, not the consciousness. So the physical body is made from the soil. That's what I was referring to. Not the
the eternal consciousness, divine consciousness of what is it. Okay, I got you.
That's somewhere else, outside of this physical body. So okay. So anyway. All right, thank you. So I'll continue.
That's Dr. G for you.
Oh, where were we? Okay, so we're back at the history, the Second Temple period. So this is a very popular image that a lot of people use. This is the Manoah, right? The Ark of Titus. So none of this stuff is true when you analyze this through the lens of the commandments, Deuteronomy 29. And there are others that talk about the land would be totally destroyed too, but that's just my favorite. It's easy to work with. So let's continue. It says the total destruction of Jerusalem and the Second Temple was catastrophic for the Jewish people. This is another lie. There never was a Second Temple to be destroyed, right? Everybody see that? It was impossible to build that Second Temple. So let's jump forward to, let's see if we can get Josephus, if I could figure out how to pull that up. Well, okay, here we are. All right. So this is Wars of the Jews, right? And these are all of the books, okay? So here, right, this is summaries of what each book is about. Okay, so let's go through this. Only the ones that are of interest, okay? Only the ones that are of interest. And I'm just going to scan through here. Let's look at book 5. It says here, from the coming of Titus. So this book covers from the coming of Titus to the besiege of Jerusalem, to the great extremity to which the Jews were reduced. This never happened. This is the works of Josephus, right? The Wars of the Jews. Book 4, the siege of Gamala, to the coming of Titus, to besiege of Jerusalem. The first year, none of this never happened. I hope everybody can see this. They were riding horses through the desert, fighting wars, and impossible for any of this to have happened. Okay, so let's continue. Notice book 7, from the taking of Jerusalem by Titus to the sedition of Cyrene. So remember, Jerusalem was completely destroyed, right, scholars? It was completely destroyed. Okay, where is that verse? The one I like. It was completely destroyed, nothing but a burning waste. All right, so let's go back to Josephus. Oops. So y'all notice this, how the entire city of Jerusalem was demolished. It's impossible. It was already destroyed. Okay. And all of these characters that they mentioned, like Vespasian, none of this stuff happened, all fantasy. Okay. Dr. G, honest opinion, am I making the point clear, or is it a weak argument? Honest opinion. It's okay if you disagree. I don't.
I mean, I'm not saying that we're not, okay, who we are, but maybe this is more of a, I don't know. It's I don't see where this is gonna get you killed, which I'm glad you won't get you killed. You haven't said to me anything that is as that mind blowing. That's like, oh my goodness, it's gonna tear up the.
Because I haven't gotten to the prophets yet. That's why.
Okay.
People will get upset when they see the prophets.
Well, yeah, because we have 27 minutes, and we see what you can do in that.
Oh, okay. So just again, y'all, according to the contract, if y'all always hear Hebrew Israelites say we got to return to the Most High and start following the contract, right? They always say that. The Jewish people always say you have to keep the commandments, right? Well, the commandments say that the land is a burning waste, okay? Which is totally contradictory to what is being said by these religious leaders. Okay, so now let me go to back to the PowerPoint. Did I stop sharing, Dr. G? How can I?
You did.
Can I get the PowerPoint back now, please? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so, all right. So we completed that. All right. So we took a look at the, so we can skip the wars of the Jews. Was that clear, or do I need to be more specific with all of the points about the wars of the Jews? It's all a fantasy because the land was a burning waste.
Like, well, who are the Jews? We have we have the ones who say they're the Jews.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, now this is something different, Dr. G. Okay, now the Jews really are the Jews. The Israelites or the house of Yasharallah, we're not Jews. That's something completely different.
Okay.
The house of Yasharallah is a bloodline, a family that's attached to a land. That's the promised land. And we have a common language, common culture. We had a common economy. right? Then we were kicked out and we were scattered. The Jews, this didn't come about until after, during or after Babylonian captivity. That's when we see Jews. Now, Judaism is a religion. Anybody can join, no matter what your bloodline. In other words, no matter what your nationality, anybody can become a Jewish person, right?
Right. Sammy Davis Jr. did.
Yeah. So it's not the historical Israelites or the historical house of Yasharallah, but it is a religion. You know, it's a religion. And not only is it a religion, but anybody can join. So it's not exclusive. They're not bound to the Most High by contract. We were. They just made up a story about how the house of Yasharallah returned to the Promised Land, and they started Judaism. And then what does it say? What does it say? Oops, where is it at? Okay, they replaced us, the Davidic kingship, with their own kingship, right? It was the Maccabees. They got rid of the Levitical priesthood, replaced it with the Sanhedrin. They put in another holy day, which was Hanukkah, right? And all of these stories laid the groundwork for the introduction and acceptance of the Messianic Christ figure of the New Testament and the Gospels. So we are not Jews. We're the house of Yasharallah. You understand? From a historical point of view, from a cultural point of view, that's religion. We are a nation. We're governed by a contract or constitution, right? That the instructions from the Most High, they're governed by religious beliefs. But we're governed by principles, natural law, them religious beliefs and an external deity. I see you don't. So go ahead, Dr. G. Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
I have nothing to say. Go ahead.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just fidgeting in my chair. That's all. Just listen. That's all.
Yeah. So there's
I'll get you to say anything.
Judaism is a religion. It's not a nation. It's not a nation. Anybody can join it. A bloodline is a family. You have to be born into it. Okay. And with
is that also tied to Moabites, Ruth the Moabitess?
That's all fantasy about we should not mix with Moabites. That's a fantasy. That's not true.
Well, we hear that we are descendant from the Moabites.
We are Canaanite, Moabite, Hittite.
Anything with ites on it is probably us, right?
Yeah, and these are people who are sprung from the soil. Genesis chapter 2, right? And the house of Yasharallah, well, you'll see in the presentation, we're all the same blood. We're all sprung from the soil. So that's that. Yeah. Well, I know you don't agree with that, but that's according to this text, right? Or this set of books. That's what it is, according to this, right? Okay. According to scripture. Can you accept that?
I studied it.
Okay. Okay. So here's the analysis, right? Here's the problem for us. Due to these works, what happened for us? Religion gained preeminence or prominence over the Most High's instructions or over natural law, over principle. People are now into religion. Also, substance was removed from the law, which led to the 14th Amendment and legal creatures like corporations that can now own land or own objects. And we're considered the object, whereas they were considered the object, the hybrid. So this ushered in the corporate state. So they call this Roman law, civil law, statutory law. That's only possible because the substance was removed from the law. The substance was Moorish nationality, gold, silver, and other stuff extracted from the land that has value. So this corporate stuff, these fictitious entities, they have no substance, no value. Dr. G, go ahead. It's okay if you, no, it's okay, whatever you.
No, continue. Go ahead.
So yeah, so all of this was ushered in through religion, through Judaism, religion, Christianity. That's where we get, that's where Admiralty law began to regulate commerce on land through religion. Okay, and that required the removal of substance from the relationship between law and land. Okay, let's see, how do I do this? All right. Okay, so Jeremiah 8:8, we read that earlier, and we already discussed this. So so remember, Jeremiah 8:8 says that. Can I show that, Dr. G, or do you think everybody remembers Jeremiah 8:8?
I mean, it's right there. You said you.
Okay, so yeah, that's not the text. So Jeremiah tells us that the Most High's laws, our ancestors, as we read earlier, our ancestors changed the laws, and they made it into a religion, and now we see it. We see that they made it into Judaism and Christianity. Okay, and all based on lies, according to Jeremiah 8:8, that warning. Also based upon Deuteronomy 29, which we know that our ancestors were kicked out of the land, and the land is a burning waste. So it is impossible for anybody to live on the land right now. Okay, so how do I do this? Hold on, I got some. Okay. Dr. G, if you could see your face.
I'm good. I see it. I hope I'm not looking mean. I'm not trying to, but
No, you're not looking mean.
I'm one of those people that is, if that, expression comes out,
yeah,
and I don't
okay.
even know it.
Like you want to say something. You look like you
no,
want to say something.
No. Because if I do, I would, interject.
Okay.
But you go ahead.
Okay. So we had this discussion already. We are not Jews. The Jews are the Jews. That's that fictitious fake story that they made up about the wars with the Greeks, the wars with the Romans, and all of this stuff. So what other conclusions can we make? The Sadducees and the Pharisees, they were introduced to us in the book of the Maccabees. The book of Maccabees, there's several books, I think maybe 3. I forgot how many books of Maccabees there are.
You're kind of blinking out. I maybe they don't want you to say that. Maccabees, we're talking about the apocryphal books.
Of the Jews.
Yeah, so you're breaking up now.
Oh, so the book of Maccabees. The book of Maccabees.
That must be one of those words. Maccabees must be one of those buzzwords because they sure are cutting you off.
The book of Maccabees.
Every time you start saying Maccabees and they're breaking you up. But I was saying that book of Maccabees are from the apocryphal books that were not canonized into the Bible.
Yeah, but the Catholic Church, I think, I remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother had a Bible from the Catholic Church and it had the Maccabees in it.
Probably, but not the one that they gave the masses. Not in the ones, like they gave the Christians. I'm not sure. Are you frozen? Yeah. I don't know. Let's see.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Dr. G?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, so I'll try it one more time. the book of the Sadducees and the Pharisees, who were the ones who oppressed the Christ, Jesus Christ in the New Testament, were introduced to them, or they first appear in the book of the Maccabees. These are the Sadducees and the Pharisees. So if they never existed, right, then that means that they could not have existed to do anything to the Christ figure in the New Testament, because there never were any wars with the Greeks, right? The land was a burning waste. So the book of the Maccabees, all of them are fake stories. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So what does this mean? It means that we have to also, well, this is what it means. Anything that happened after Babylonian captivity, like the New Testament, for example, the Second Temple, Daniel prophesied about the Second Temple. The Second Temple is said to have been destroyed, right, by the Greeks. Okay. That never happened. Never was a Second Temple. The Christ figure was said to have been born. Yeah, he was said to have been born in Jerusalem, not in Jerusalem, but in the Promised Land. Well, the Promised Land was a burning waste. The Christ figure could not have been born in the Promised Land. But we'll continue with that. Okay, I'll show it. I'll show it. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, so now here's where it gets hairy, where people will get sensitive. The book of Daniel prophesies about Daniel 9:27, and he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week, he will put an end to the sacrifice and offering. And the wing of the temple will come to the abomination that causes desolation, until the decreed destruction is poured in upon him. So that abomination of desolation is said to have been fulfilled, right, during the New Testament time. Is it in
80,
70?
80,
Yeah,
70.
it never happened.
Hmm.
So Daniel, this prophecy in Daniel is just a made up story. The land was a burning waste. It's impossible to have happened according to the Most High's commandment, the book of the law. Okay, Daniel 12:11. And from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away and the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. So now, if I remember correctly, this is referring to when the Christ figure would come. When the Christ figure of the New Testament would come. So this is also a made up story. Okay. And the same story is told, the Christ figure gives this prophecy in Matthew 24. Matthew 24:15. Okay. I'm sorry, this has to do with the destruction of the temple. Okay. Christ figure gives the same story. I haven't read this stuff in, years. But he gives the same story. It could not have happened because there was no second temple in the first place. Okay. The promised land was a burning waste. So here's Daniel's prophecy so everybody can see it. See the 7 weeks, the 62 weeks, and the 1 week. Okay. The word to restore Jerusalem, that's coming out of Babylonian captivity. It was a burning waste. Okay. Jerusalem is rebuilt. Okay. Impossible because there was no water. How are they going to make the mud for the stones? Okay. Christ figure gets baptized. Impossible because there was no water to baptize him. Okay. And then all of this, and then in 70 CE, right? 70 CE, the Roman soldiers allegedly fulfilled that prophecy. It's an impossibility. Okay. So let's continue. So let me try to do this again. I need to go to the book of Isaiah and Jeremiah to see, is it possible to, let me see if I can do it. Share screen. Okay, let me see. I think I got it, Dr. G. Did it share?
This one?
Oh, yeah. Let me see. So hold on.
Oh, here we are.
Let me try to get get that link. Give me 1 second so I can get the link. So how am I doing, Dr. G?
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Okay, it's okay. All right. So let me thank you. I'm scrolling through my PowerPoint because I can't click the link on that. So okay, here we go. I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. All right. Okay, I found it. Okay. So I'm totally confused. All right.
That's not what you want to show. Oops. I think he took himself out, y'all. Not so sure what to do. Okay. I didn't do. Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Back. You brought yourself out. You took yourself out.
So
You
let me
took
see.
yourself
Let me
out.
try to do it. Okay.
I think this is probably a better thing for you to do when you're just teaching without somebody like me whose mouth is going and throwing monkey wrenches and everything.
No. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, but as a host and as somewhat of a scholar, I feel like I would be doing a disservice if I didn't say, or at least have a intelligent dialogue, and sometimes challenge based on my own studies and then my own just
I agree with you.
stuff.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. So I'm enjoying it. Can you guys see?
Well, we're not sharing. Let me see. We got to go back to sharing the screen. Okay, share screen.
Let me see.
Well, we're not sharing. No, we're not. Cancel. I'm trying not to. That's not.
Is it sharing?
I
gotta upload again.
You have to bring it back. Yeah, you'd have to bring it back up.
All right.
Screen sharing. What's it telling me? Screen sharing is not. So.
Yes.
In conclusion, because that's where we are. That's where we are at the conclusion.
Are we out of time?
Well, we have 8 minutes, and we have 8 minutes, and I'm not sure.
Okay, so let me. Oh, is that? Can y'all see that?
Now we can.
Messianic prophecies.
Yep.
Okay. Oops. Okay, so these are the messianic prophecies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In Isaiah, and this is the fulfillment. So, description of the prophecy in Isaiah, and then New Testament fulfillment. So, all of these prophecies, right? All of these prophecies are made up stories. Virgin birth of the Messiah, right?
Yeah, I believe it.
See, all of
because
that.
We're told that the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed, and the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. So during their 400 so-called silent years, that's when they're concocting all these, making these stories, tried to make them line up with each other, but there's still inconsistencies there.
Yeah. So all of these prophecies, none of this stuff ever happened. These are Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences. That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Impossible. The Christ figure is said to, can you see my screen still? You see my search I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay. So where was Jesus born? Okay. It's to see Bethlehem. Okay. Bethlehem of Judea. Judea is another name. They gave the name of Israel. They changed it after Babylonian captivity, allegedly when they went back, and they started calling it Bethlehem of Judea. Okay, so it says a Christ figure was born. Did y'all see it?
Mm-hmm.
And let me see. Can you see that, Dr. G?
Yes.
See that? Where was Jesus born? Tradition places Jesus' birth in Bethlehem, a small town a few miles south of Jerusalem. This was a burning waste. So he could not have been born in Jerusalem. Promised land was a burning waste. So it's impossibility, a total impossibility. So now let's look at Jeremiah. So all of those prophecies, complete impossibility. All right. So let me see. Can you see my Jeremiah search, Dr. G? Do you see Jeremiah prophecies?
Yes.
Jeremiah prophecies of the Messiah?
Messiah fulfilled in Jesus of Nazareth.
So all of the Jeremiah 8:8, this is how the law was turned into religion. First Judaism and then Christianity. And now we see Hebrew Israelite New Testament people, believers. Y'all see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see the coming of the Davidic Messiah, right? A new covenant. See, even the new covenant that they love so much, I used to love it too. It's all just a made up story because the promised land was a complete burning waste. There was nothing there. Okay, so let me go back.
I believe it's hard to determine exactly how much of the Bible you can even believe anymore. You know, it's just so convoluted and it's so distorted, and we know that it's been used to enslave the minds, if you would, if not the the physicality of people for thousands of years that it's been in existence. And so if I find in these last couple of years, even more than that, but most definitely in the last 2 years, how much deception, how many things I thought I believed, I thought were true, and you're finding out they absolutely were complete fabrications. And it's almost like anything that we were told was a mythology, you better believe it. And anything that they tell you is true, you need to just discard it and say it's not. That's the made up stuff. And the things, that we've been told, oh, that's Grimm's fairy tales. Those are mythological creatures and mythological beings, and that never happened. It happened.
But those things are true.
Those things are true.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So, it's just hard for me to, with a degree, I feel like the scripture that says that Paul said, basically said he counted all dung. It's nothing but, horse hockey. What he had. When you find out the truth, I have a doctorate in theology, and I'm like, I have a doctorate in lies.
Yeah.
I have a doctorate in solar system, a system that was developed to placate people and pacify them and have them waiting and longing for something over there after a while, by and by, while all the now stuff was being usurped and used by, the colonizers. So, what's true?
Oh, yeah. And that's the whole purpose.
Part of any of it is true.
Yeah, that's my position, is that these religions are designed to do just that.
Yeah, and they all come from they're cut from the same cloth. Like I would always say, take your Judaism, your Christianity, and your even the Islam that we not when we say Islamism, but the one, that religion like that, and it send you on a quest. Please find out where the fabric of your religion comes from. And when you find it, where it fits, put it down there. And when they find the place, they look up and they're all on the same piece of fabric because it came from the same source.
That's right.
It absolutely came from the source. And the only thing that's divine and true is your higher self that you've been, negating because, you think the devil's a red suited being with a tail and a pitchfork. You don't know that that's your lower self. You think, God, there is a most high, but, you think that you don't realize that you are the place that God put its dwelling place. It says, have this treasure in earthen vessels. And you talked about the earth, it says but it also says that the greater one lives on the inside. So whatever's greater is in me and is in you. So why do we look out? Why do we look out for it?
In fact, the tree of the knowledge of good and bad is really the higher and the lower self.
Absolutely.
I have a whole video on that. Yeah. Dr. G, can I just show a few more slides? I'll be finished.
Sure.
I agree with you on that. And that's kind of the point I want people to get. Follow the Most High's instructions, which is simply follow natural law, do no harm, and be the higher self, right? When you're operating in religion, that's probably one of the worst things, if not the worst thing you can do to yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's lower self behavior. The Most High gave us everything we need. We don't need any external deities. All we need to do is make better use, well, become aware of who we are, follow the ancient paths, right? And make better use, scholars, of what the Most High gave us at birth. That's it.
Absolutely. You're right.
Can I, it's not, it's loaded, but it's not, just a few, Dr. G.
Let me tell y'all.
Just a few. But I hope I've been able to show, not convince anyone, scholars. I'm not trying to convince you to change your mind about your belief. You can't do that in a day, right? But what I wanted to be able to show is that according to the contract, the promised land became a burning waste, uninhabitable, no water, nobody can live in it, nothing. I wanted to show that, and then based upon that, to show that the book of Maccabees that outlines the Jewish history after we left Babylon could have never happened. It's an impossibility. It was a burning desert. Therefore, the temple was never burned in 70 CE. Therefore, the Jews never escaped to the west coast of Africa. Therefore, the Africans never sold the Jews off into slavery. Therefore, this whole thing about the transatlantic slave trade and all of our people being shipped over to the Americas on slave boats, that's also a fake story. It's all false. All false. And we arrived at this simply by knowing what the contract says as regards the house of Yasharallah. Very simple. So if you can, scholars, if you can just understand that and let that be a starting place. And if you want to accept a religion, even though you know that it has no basis in the law, well, you can do that. You know, that's your choice. But to approach it and give your energy to it like it's real, when you've just seen that all those prophecies, all of that stuff are just made up stories, well, then that's a little bit, that's going to be difficult for you, right? That's going to be real difficult. Dr. G, can I show just a few more slides, please?
You asked me. I said, go ahead. I've been waiting. Is that this one right here?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I just wanted to oh, okay. So it's right back at the beginning. Hold on. See, I wanted to show all of that. We ran out of time. I didn't get to show why we're the gods on earth.
Because we are.
Yeah, we are. And, you know, Dr. G, I was going to show it according to the Bible. Well, not the Bible, but the Most High's instructions, the commandments. Okay, so I think I just said this. Jews never fled Jerusalem, running from the Romans to go into Africa. All that Africans sold the Jews, all that anger the people have, it's all ridiculous. It never happened. Okay, we were already in the Americas, and all of this stuff that happened in Scripture happened in the Americas. Some happened on the west coast of Africa. Some. Okay, so let me switch here. So those are the conclusions for that. Oh, is that it? Oh, no. Okay. All right. So all Jesus prophecies are made up stories. We saw it. Here's a big thing. End time prophecies, it's all made up. All made up stories, right? All of this stuff we hear about, the wars in the Middle East, all of that is manufactured to keep people in religion. No such thing in reality as end time prophecy. No such thing as the Great Tribulation that the Christ figure spoke about, and there's no such thing as Armageddon. All of that is in the New Testament based upon the Christ figure. Okay. Let me see. All right. So let me.
Some would like beg to differ with you. They're like, they feel like they're in the Armageddon and the Great Tribulation right now with all of that's been going on in the last 2 years. I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that ability to overcome rather than succumb to what's going on is the most important thing. And basically, you have to get the virus out of the minds of the people so that they can heal and know who they really are, or know who we really are. We all do. So we need to know who we really are. It's like that thing from Superman, Kal, remember who you are. You know what I mean? That's who we are. We need to remember who we are.
Yes, and Dr. G, the curses, according to the curses in the contract, in the curses, the Most High says He's going to punish us and put us to death. Not all of us, but many of us. And guess what? Viruses, or a derivative of the word virus, was in there. I show we did this in our live class Saturday, maybe 2 months ago. A derivative of the word virus was there, but nothing good is going to happen to us as a nation, and I'm talking about a family of nations, the Moroccan Empire, the natural people. According to scripture, there's 16 families. That means there are 16 nations who were allotted land. Those allotments are given in the book of Jubilees, right? So nothing good is going to happen to us until we return to the Most High, meaning we start living the principles of our ancient foremothers and fathers. That's all it means. Follow natural law. In summary, do no harm. So all of these Christian things, they never happen. So scholars, free your mind. This is your way to mental liberty, right? And this is your way to come into who you are, your power that the Most High gave you, and then to begin to act that higher self, okay? And stop blaming devils and demons and thinking in terms of devils and demons. Okay, I think that's it, Dr. G. Oh, by the way, this is very prominent, Mark 13:26, with the Hebrew Israelites. The Son of Man gonna crack the clouds. It is not going to happen. Nobody's coming to rescue you, Moors, but yourself. Okay? And we together, working together as a nation, can help each other. But ultimately, only you can save yourself. No Christ figure is coming on the cloud. He was never born.
Now, that's not to say that there will not be a holographic appearance of something that's posing as that.
Yes. And Dr. G, that's what they've done all these years. They manufactured the fulfillment of prophecies, right, so that we would believe and they could control us, right? So, and all of this witnessing to the nations, you got to go preach and proselytize, and the Hebrew Israelites, they get mad at you. But also the Christians, if you don't have the same beliefs, they get mad. And can I show that?
Sure.
Okay. They get mad if you don't have the same beliefs. All over made up stories, right? And I hope the people who hear this at some point can give this some thought and consider being at peace with each other and stop letting these religions come between you and your family and your brothers and sisters, like me, like Dr. G, just because you don't agree with what we think.
Yeah, I mean, we can agree to disagree. That's we still, But yeah, so talk about this. You can talk about what that is.
Okay, so this ends that presentation, but I didn't get to go into why the Moors are the gods. I hope at some point.
Dr. G talked too much, but that's okay.
I hope at some point in the future I can come back. But I offer through Zion Law School a live class every Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a live class, and you can come for free and observe 2 courses or 2 classes. And sometimes I let people stay longer. It just depends on like the class dynamics. And if you want to enroll, you can enroll, but you'll learn etymology, you're going to learn linguistics, you're going to learn a lot of stuff, grammar. I mean, I know how to do this primarily because of the skills that I've taught myself over the years about linguistics, grammar, etymology, and how to put all this stuff together. In other words, what the words really, really mean. Okay, I'm self-taught, but that's how I learned how to do all of this stuff. And I can teach you on Saturday. But then I also have a free, well, almost free, let me correct that, almost free streaming live course where you can watch videos in your house, at work, at the gym, whatever, and it's streaming. So you have 24/7 access. You can, for $1, you get 1 day free trial, right? And there's 113 videos. So you can watch as many of that 113 videos as you want. And if you want to subscribe, it's just $10 a month. That's why it's basically free. You know, I mean,
that's very reasonable.
Yeah, and yes, and Dr. G, it is an intensive introductory course. It's very intensive, and it's not boring. I teach it in an animated, excited way to keep people interested.
Mm-hmm.
And it's phenomenal. I used to teach this course over 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and I put it all in digital format. So I'm using PowerPoints and speaking, and I cover everything. So if a person takes this streaming course, it's going to help them not only with the IRIAT, and especially if they come to the live class. All of the scholars say that what they learn has greatly improved their reading and life. Yeah, their reading ability and life. And they tell me that they completely changed the way they read things now.
So do they go to www.zionlawschool.org for that?
Yes, they go to, zionlawschool.org, and then they'll click on class offerings, and then they're going to see, can I show it? You got time?
Sure. Yeah.
I can show it. Let me see. I can close that out. Oops. Man. Uh-oh. Let me see. Am I still there? Dr. G, I hope.
Oh, that's right. They won't let me put it in Facebook. Remember that the name Zion Law School goes against Facebook's community guidelines. It's community standards. That is such a crock.
Ain't it? Boy,
that is so crazy. Yeah.
They give me such a hard time.
Facebook won't let me put the word ZionLawSchool.org there, but you know. Mm-hmm. You told me that, and that's true. I just saw it. And I just tried. I posted the link, and it's like Mm-hmm. But you find it on. Come back and look in the chat on YouTube. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Or if you see, it's actually scrolling right now.
Can y'all see it? Zion Law School?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so go to Zion Law School, Scholars, Moors. Click on course offerings, and then this purple. It's my favorite color. This purple banner ad that says Hebrew Self-Study Course. Click on that, and you can read everything, all of the topics, right? Dr. G, the market value of this is at least $8,000 to $10,000. If I were to want to charge market value for this, but it's only $10. And this is all. Yeah, $10 a month. And this is all the topics, 113 videos, everything about everything. This is very, very intensive course. People will learn a lot. IRIAT word studies, everything. Can I show where to get the link to my Saturday class? Sure. I appreciate you, Dr. G. I think we went over, and I do apologize about that, but I appreciate you getting these last things in. So when you go to Scholars, if you want to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Zion Law School. This is the home page. And over here in the description area, you'll see links to the Ibriath 101 Ancient Ibriath course. And then you'll see a link that if you click on that, this is the 501 Curses course, the live class I teach every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is what the Ibriath pictographs look like, and everybody will learn how to read those. You get really, really good. Okay. Thank you, Dr. G.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. And I want to thank you for coming on the show.
What?
Nothing.
But Dr. G, so what I really wanted to do is show from the contract that the Abrahamic religions cannot exist because there was never a promised land for them to return to. It was all destroyed, all desert. So
Get it. I get it. And if and if you all want to really learn, in a different setting without somebody interrupting, like an interviewer, then please go to the website, www.zionlawschool.org, and enroll. Try it out for $1 for a day, and get a feel for, click through the various courses. How long are those videos about? You said you have 100.
Some of them are, I think, 20 something minutes, but then I started to cut them down to be like between, I think, 7 and 10 minutes.
So you're talking really small chunks, digestible chunks. So bite size. So you can't go wrong with that. And then of course there's also the live classes where you can interact, I'm assuming, with you and the other students. So, yes. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'm going to go out with my little commercial. My newest commercial. I'm leaving for last. trying to figure out how to do it, but I'll get it on here. But I do appreciate. Thank you to everybody who has been hitting me up for chokeberry. So let me just do my little chokeberry commercial. Thank Dr. Yasapa for his being here on the show, and thank you all in the audience. Those of you who enjoyed it, and even to those of you who didn't. Nobody said you had to, but just thanks for being respectful. All right, appreciate that. Wow, let me see this. How does this work? That's how you do it. I'm new at this. I'm trying to figure something out. Dr. Yasapa, I have a commercial and a little thing that I did. So here we go. We gonna try.
Thank you, Dr. G.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Dr. G here, just checking to see if you've ordered your Chokeberry Plus. What? You don't know what Chokeberry Plus is? Oh my. It is an amazing berry that has the highest ORAC level of most berries known to man. Actually, it's a step higher than elderberry and is much, much higher than berries such as noni, goji, and mangosteen. What is chokeberry, you ask? Well, chokeberry is an antiviral. It's antioxidant, and it's an immune system boosting berry. It also provides support and balance for the blood pressure, the blood sugar, and cholesterol. Yeah, in one little dose that you would take a day that's very pleasant tasting, like a glass of fine wine, you are going to provide yourself with a lot of protection, especially in these times that we're living in. Like I said, it's antiviral, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory, among the balanced support that it provides for the blood sugar, the blood pressure, and the cholesterol. You want to know how you can get yours? Sure. Just text CB3L to 302-345-0500, and we'll shoot you out an order link. You want to get yours today. Especially in these times we're living in, we need some added support and protection. So I highly recommend Chokeberry Plus. And let me say this, Chokeberry Plus, and the chokeberry is also what's known as the aronia berry, but all of the chokeberry products out there are not created equal. We've got probably the best tasting, and you'll feel it the moment it hits your taste buds, and it actually does some things as soon as it hits your mouth. I'm not going to talk about that, but it's going to be good for you, good for your family. You can get a 60 serving 3-liter box shipped out within 2 to 3 days, and it'll come by priority mail insured. So again, text CB3L to 302-345-0500 and get your chokeberry today. Peace.
Dr. G. Really? Who's she?
Yeah, that's me.
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 Dr. G. Really? Who's she?
Yeah, that's